Happy Sunday, everybody. Today is October 19, 2025. Not that big of a list this week, just three tickers for the swing side. Probably look at Tesla for a bit too. But starting out, before we get into anything, let's go for last week's list. I got stopped out of Palantir last week, so I got wicked out over here, which was unfortunate after we got triggered in. However, Roblox helped make up for that loss, took that reversal to the upside, and we hit some targets up here. So that was a good one. But Palantir failed, but it is what it is. Can't win all of them. First on the list, we got Oklo. I'm not going to go too heavy on this one since the overall trend is still pretty bullish. Monthly's bullish, quarterly's bullish, all that good stuff. Daily already reversed, but failed as a failed two down. But the weekly just caught my attention. Shout out Isaiah C. mentioned this. The weekly has a reverse hammer printing. And for those who at least know ICT stuff, we have a volume imbalance that needs to be filled over here. So let's go down here. This trade for me will look something like this. If this bar, let's say, opens up as an inside bar over here and then it triggers down, I'm going to use the bar as my stop loss, whatever is shorter, either the 50 fib level or the next bar that opens up. Generally, if it triggers in, it should not come back in and all the way up here. So either one would work. First target that I would have is this little volume imbalance being filled. Next target, basically just a regular strat target. You could use the body or the wick. Either one is fine. It's another little imbalance here, but I'm going to use this body and then that wick. So the trade will look something like this for me. Again, you do want to give it some time since it is a weekly setup. At least 30 days minimum is what I would be looking for. Strike prices, just look for high open interest. You can use psychological levels, every $5, every dollar, things like that. Let's go to Apple. Apple, we have a nice TTO setup to take it to the upside. If it does trigger short, I'm not really going to bother taking it personally. I'm really just looking to take this long. But for those who do want to short Apple, there's that break off the weekly for you. But yeah, pretty much if we open up and trigger to the long side, I'll be getting some calls. Target would be this BF level. So let's say around 258.20, give or take. And then, of course, that wick, we could just look to the left for additional targets. We have this wick over here. And then, whatever levels may be hit. Pretty straightforward on that one. Walmart has a similar setup as well on the daily, though. So similar TTO setup on Walmart on the daily here. Similar to Apple. So if we break above, body or wick is fine. We can always go to the left. I think we had all-time highs. I haven't looked at Walmart in ages. We are at all-time highs. Well, since there aren't any more targets to the left of Walmart, we could just use ATR. So after it hits this high and we make a new all-time high, we can just look to take profit every $2 from there until we get stopped out. Something to note on, there was something on Oklo that I wanted to mention. keep in mind if we do trigger short and we go to fill this area here, there can be a bounce in this area structure wise. So we would have hit target one by then. So if there is a bounce from here and it comes back to entry, we should not let the trade go red. Again, never let a winning trade go red. If it's at least one target, it's a winning trade. Trim some off, see what else the market can give you, and go from there. But do not let it go red if it goes against us. Cool. Not much news this week from what I saw. Well, let me not say not much news. To be specific, tomorrow there's not much news, just a yellow folder. And then on Tuesday, same thing. And Thursday, we just have oil inventories for those who trade oil. So just be mindful of that. But yeah, the first 3 days this week looks like it's going to be pretty chill. Thursday, we have home sales at 10 a.m. And then Friday, we have CPI data. So going to be a pretty volatile day. I like to be a little more defensive going into CPI. So on Wednesday or Thursday, I would probably expect potential chop until CPI data comes out. But as always, we trade what the market gives us and we go from there. One little last bonus thing that I'll mention that I've been looking at, this is mainly for those who trade futures and things like Forex. I haven't really experimented on regular stock. I know one of my mentors does, which is where I got it from him. Shout out 100K. But the 12-hour time frame and make sure to have extended hours on. Generally, these inside bar setups uh, seem to pay pretty well. I haven't taken them on the indices like, YM, ES, things like that. I've mainly been looking at it on gold. So generally, these inside bar setups seem to work pretty well, either to the upside or downside, really doesn't matter. Of course, you may have some instance like this where we trigger short and then it just gets bought back up. But again, always have a stop loss. But overall, looks like these inside bar continuations or reversals seem to work pretty well. One thing to note is for those who trade London session, this is probably going to be better for you, mainly because I myself don't wake up at 6 a.m. when the candle, well, this is 6 a.m. Eastern to be specific. I don't wake up at that time when the candle opens up and potentially triggers the trade. So I'll do a little more research on it. If it looks promising so far, probably going to add that as something to look for. I need to fix my sleeping schedule potentially because I don't like waking up that early. Um, for one thing that we can do, at least for me anyway, since the candles basically open up at 6 p.m. or 6 a.m., the next one's to trigger, depending on the setup. I might have to hope that there's an inside bar setup for Asia. So when 6 p.m. opens up, I can take that trade and just let it do its thing overnight. But just wanted to share this with you guys. Just something to look at. We can see pretty much all these inside bar setups working pretty well. You'll get moments, of course, where not much will happen. Like we get an inside bar here and it goes three up both ways. But seems to be, for the most part, once it triggers, you get a good move out of it. But that is all I have for today. Any questions, as always, let me know in the comments below. Anybody who's returning, always appreciate your views. Any newcomers, you're welcome to subscribe. If you found this helpful, I put this out every week for any picks that I'm looking at. Um, Other than that, that's all I got. Again, I'll see you guys for the next one. Enjoy your weekend.